Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Lopez here, and I want to thank you for joining us here on the Gunline, a podcast where we talk shit, where we chop it up like we would out in the field. We have conversations regarding anything and everything, whether it's social, whether it's political, whether it's fucking funny. It's just a conversation you have with amongst homies and friends and shit. On this episode, I have my nephew. We grew up together. I'm only 8 days older than him, typical fucking Hispanic type of family. But and we discussed that a little bit. Our environments where we grew up in and how they shaped who we are now. And it just a natural conversation of three men just talking about shit that we see and how we've grown into who we are and how we would be able to change things if we could. With that being said, I really hope you guys dig it. Let me know how y'all enjoy it. And as always, please like, subscribe on the podcast on whether it's Spotify, Amazon Music, or YouTube's. I appreciate any support that y'all give. I thank you for it. It's really it's really great to be doing this. I love it, and hope you love this episode. So with that said, enjoy the pod. Gunline, gunline, gunline. Fire mission coming down again. Y'all don't know this, but we've been having some audio fucking issues here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and just Hunt. Go ahead and talk. Let's see if we got this.
Man, hopefully, like we were trying to say earlier, you got me?
There we go. All right,
Yeah.
too easy. So as we were talking earlier, there's gonna be some editing, y'all, somewhere in between there because this is limited time. I only get 40 fucking minutes, and every time we restart, it's fucked up.
Cuts into it.
Anyway, so check it. We were talking about water bottles. No, we were talking. See, it fucks up the whole program,
Yeah,
man.
no, so what happened was like I was earlier when we had first got on Zoom, I had a cup of Uncle Nearest. But as y'all see, I'm drinking water right now for everybody that's on the YouTube. And then we were talking about like how like back in the day, like we used to drink from the hose outside.
Yes.
And I was like, it's crazy because like, we had our neighbors that we were close to, and everybody would play in the yards together, the right, left, and
Mm-hmm.
the middle. We would play in the yards together, and then everybody just be drinking, out the what's it called.
Out the
Even
water
like so,
hose.
yeah, you know what's crazy? So like the elementary school that I grew up next to was like right down the road from us.
Mm-hmm.
We used to walk there. We had to walk there. It was in walking distance. And I can remember us going there and, kind of like with a little spigot trying to drink water out of the spigot, even though we were
Yeah.
like playing basketball on the court there after school. You know what I'm saying? It just is what it is.
You know what it reminds me of? Like, I remember we used to drink water out of the same water hose where we filled up our water balloons. Do
Mm.
kids even play with water balloons anymore nowadays? We used to fill those motherfuckers up and just
Oh yeah.
bash motherfuckers.
Me and mine do. Oh my God. We be going at it. We be going ham at them water balloon fights. And it
Hell
made it
yeah.
easier because it has a little you just connect it straight there and it has the little balloons on there with the straws
What the
and the
fuck?
rubber. Yes, man. Like, yo, it's like 100 of them. So maybe like no. So like maybe it's like 150 per pack, and all
Yeah.
you do is screw the little thing onto the faucet to the little hose thing, the
Yeah.
connection. Turn the water on, and they'll drop automatically once they full. And you just put the next one in, and it'll
Hold
do the
up. You
same.
don't even have to tie the
So
knot or anything?
nope, it seals because it has a rubber band on there.
What
And once
the
that
fuck?
yeah, once that water gets there, it'll fall off the little straws, and
Yeah,
you're there. And it's already
bro.
just
I'm about to go find that shit.
hey,
Cause
Walmart got them, baby.
bro, I tell you, that was some of the most fun shit when you were a kid in the summertime. Out there having water balloon fights, fucking just and if you were the fat kid, you getting hit.
You
You
get
getting
fucked.
hit, chief.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, that's like one of the go-tos. My kids are they're old, but we still love having water balloon fights to this
Hell
day.
yeah, man. You know,
Everybody loves water balloon fights.
so just a quick side note. Today my nephew was supposed to be coming on here. He's about running about 40 minutes late already. He has a prior scheduled attendance that he has to go to, so he might not make it in. So it's just Hunt and I going to run through some of the talking points I wanted to discuss today, which kind of in a way it kind of ties to what we're talking about right now. These childhood memories that we have of running out there with water balloons and hitting each other and letting out our frustrations and aggressions out on the streets. Maybe we were just too fucking tired to give a fucking be mad. because we were literally out there playing freeze tag, hide and go seek. Oh, here he is. Never mind. He just jumped on here. So give me one quick second and bringing him on. You know, usually it'll be the black guy that's late, you know,
Yeah.
color people time.
Yeah, I mean, you Guatemalans are always, too busy doing things.
First of all, I'm not Guatemalan, motherfucker. What's
Hey, what's
going
going on,
on?
brother? How you doing?
Hey, good morning, my brothers. I'm doing good. How you guys doing today?
Hey, I'm glad to see another Raiders fan in the building.
That's right.
Nah.
That's
Hey,
right.
fuck the Raiders. We Cowboys over here.
Fuck Cowboys.
All right. So for everybody who's joining us, that's my nephew right there. Ain't the first time he's been on here before. Dago, this is my boy Hunt. Me and Hunt surfed together back in 2005 to 2007. We went to Iraq together in 06, and we've been boys since. And then Hunt, that's Dago. Me and him pretty much grew up from knee high till today. You know what I'm saying? I'm only 8 days older than him, and in true Hispanic fashion, he literally is my nephew. Literally, his mother is my sister. So, anyways, thanks for being on here, man. I know you got some things you're gonna be headed out to do today. So I know your time is limited.
Thank you for having me, my boy. It's a pleasure, man.
No, hey, man. You know, now that we have you on here, we were actually just having a conversation about when we were kids. You know, because this motherfucker's over here drinking water out of a bottle, and I'm like, when did that shit become normal? Because we used to drink right out of what?
Hose.
The water hose. You know. Yo, did you know that they have water balloon that you can just fill up now, and they
like 100 of them?
He was just talking about that.
Yeah, you could put them, and it's like 100 blow up, and you start going crazy, man. That's how when we were little, we would have. Wow.
Bro, fuck yeah, dude. We would be up there fucking fill them all up, tying them up, hoping they don't pop while you're trying to put the knot on there and shit.
Yeah, ain't none of that shit. Just turn the fucking spigot on. Them shits are dropping the little bucket.
What you call me?
Yeah, you're right. Hey, but we used to play with instead of water balloons. Remember when I hit my uncle dug in the head with that rock? We were playing in the yard next door.
Okay, so we used to have an empty field next to my house, and there would be a lot of mud rocks there. We used to play mud rock war. All right, so
the trash can lids.
Damn it. We used to chuck them at each other, man. This motherfucker grabbed one that had a rock in it, like hit my brother in his head.
The shit out of me though. He was gonna fuck me up.
Oh man, but you know what? I was telling Hunt just a second ago before you came on, that maybe we were too tired to be fucking depressed as a lot of kids are nowadays, because all we did was be outside playing tag, freeze tag, hide and go seek. If you're from the hood, hide and go get it. We'd be out there doing all kinds of dumb shit, getting ourselves tired. And there was teasing as well too. People teased each other, and that was just normal life, because teasing, you got teased because you were a little bit on the bigger size. I got teased because I was scrawny as fuck and had a Kool-Aid smile. I mean, literally, I had Kool-Aid on my face. My teacher would make fun of me. You know what I'm saying? Call me French fry, called this motherfucker hamburger in the 3rd grade, bro.
Yeah.
All right. This is 3rd grade South Park Elementary School. But and that was just teasing though. So teasing, I think, was a part of life. And I think that, I'm pretty sure you guys have a different view on this, especially Hunt. But I think that we need to bring bullying back. Bring back bullying.
Bullying back.
Yep.
What do you
Bring
mean?
bullying back. I think bullying is a necessity in life, bro. And here's my thought process to it. When people were being bullied, they learned to have tougher skin, and they learned to fucking become stronger kids. They made the weak a little bit stronger. And also the bully eventually got humbled. There would be a point in time that bully would get his ass whooped. For example, case in point, we were in 2nd grade or 3rd grade, and your sister was being bullied by that little black kid. And then, we kind of had to whoop his ass. And I'm not trying to bring race into it. It's just how we differentiated people.
Okay, right? I see where this is going. Hey, I see what y'all trying to do right now.
Look like you, huh?
Yeah, well played. Well played.
No, but I think that normalizing bullying needs to be something that needs to be brought back. In other words, let motherfucking kids fight each other and don't call it assault and battery when they fight each other. You know what I mean? So what do y'all think on that?
You want to go first?
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
So I mean, I don't agree with bullying. I think there's other ways and means to be able to be strong. You know, I don't necessarily think that fighting has to be the only what do you call it? The only choice you have. You know what I'm saying? You gotta learn how to control your anger, man. You gotta learn how to have discipline. And these are the type of things they don't teach you in school. Just like they don't teach you money management, they don't teach you the stuff that you really need in life, right?
Right.
So I think there should be something in there that shows you how to defend yourself. Because if you learn how to box, if you learn how to do jiu-jitsu, you learn how to protect yourself, and you walk around with that confidence that you don't need to go walk around and try to beat up on somebody because you know what you're about. So I think instead of bullying, you could just replace it with something that gives somebody that self-confidence that they need to walk around in this world.
Okay, I can see that point. Go ahead.
So, a couple points about bullying. I think that starts at the home. I think that these kids that are bullying people, they're going through things behind doors that we don't know, and they're using it as an outlet to, take that out on everybody else because they see these parents as being the dominant authority figure who they can't, lash out at. And number two, if you think about it, kids are still being bullies. That's why you have stuff going on. That's why you have kids coming to school and pew pew pewing and shooting the school up because of their bullies. So I think bullying is still going on, but we have to get to the root cause of bullying, which comes back to the adults and how we are treating these children.
All right.
Yeah, because it's a learned behavior.
So with that said, I like what you're saying as far as like in schools, having different outlets as far as like teaching them social skills, teaching them how to deal, how like we have it in the Army, it was called MRT, Master Resiliency, hunt the good stuff, as corny as that sounded,
Yeah.
right? But here's my point with the bullying though. I don't think that bullying should be something that is, how can I put this? I think it's a necessity as far as like to toughen up kids and at the same time to whoop that bully's ass, because that bully's only going to stop being a bully when you beat the shit out of them. You know what I mean? So there's always going to be bullies in life, and it's might as well learn that shit day one, because when you get to the real world, you can't go to a teacher and be like, teacher, oh, boss, I'm being bullied. You know what I mean? It doesn't work that way. Or you can't be on the street and say, hey, I'm going to go tell on you. It doesn't work that way. And so for my daughter, she was being bullied at school. And I told my daughter, you don't take shit from nobody, because you get punked one time, you're going to be a punk the rest of your life. She took that shit to heart. And she wasn't fighting girls. She was fighting boys and beating the fuck out of them. So here's the thing. I told her, you're a Lopez. We don't start fights, but we sure as fuck finish them. However, the reason that she would swing at him is because she got tired of being bullied and following the fucking norm of, I'm going to tell on you. And she would tell and do what they were telling her to do, but there were no consequences to this bully. You see what I'm saying? So the bully, he gets a slap on the wrist, and what's he going to go do? Do the same shit all over again. How does she get it to stop? She beat the fuck out of him. And guess what? They don't fuck with her no more. You know what I mean? But the problem is the school made her out to be like she was the bully. You see what I'm saying?
I'm all about people defending themselves, plain and simple. All about that. I do think that so this is where I think the teachers may be failing, because if you go ahead and do that route, be like, hey, listen, this person is doing something. I'm not trying to get in trouble because I'm going to fuck this person up. Then there needs to be that counseling session to try to rehabilitate that bully. Once again, I strictly go back to the adults because, like you said before, and I think all three of us can agree, it is a learned behavior from home. So now we need to break down that cause. And if we need to be like, yo, why is your son feeling the need to pick on girls? You know what I'm saying? Are you doing something to your wife at home? What the fuck going on, man? You beating your wife? Is this what you're trying to show him? So now we need to, that's what we got to do.
See,
and then at schools they get lost too, because I don't know about in Texas, but in LA Unified School District, there's about 100 kids to one teacher. And the way that they solve the issue is not by sending them to a counselor, which there is no staff, there is no dean. So what they do is just kick them out of class and let them roam the streets.
Yeah.
And now they just get caught up with something else, because that's their way of saying, well, I can't do it to right away, but get out of here right now, and I'll just deal with the ones that do want to learn. And that's just the way that our school system is right now.
Well, that's fucked up.
Now, what is it that you do exactly now? Now you work with the youth nowadays, right? Like, is that what you're working with, or what is it?
I'm working with the pay population, which is the transitional age youth, 18 to 24. Those are the ones that were emancipated, foster youth, and now they got housing. I'm trying to keep them with a stable home.
Okay,
so for support services, stuff like that. Some case work.
So can you give people a little bit of your background on how your past has helped you in your future, in your present, with what you do?
So I'm gonna give you a quick rundown. So I went in and out of juvenile hall, went to camps, ended up going for juvenile hall to prison. Did a couple, did most of my years in prison till I say about the age of 31. And when I reached 31, I got set up by Rampart. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Rampart scandal. Got set up by the cops. I ended up beating the court case by the technicalities that they were claiming that I had tattoos on my face, which I already had them off. So that's the only reason I beat my case, or else I would have had like 40 year life right now. So once I beat that, I got out and I just wanted something different, but I wanted it. You know what I mean? I mean, all along, everybody always wanted me to do something different or make change your life, but I never had the outlet or the support that I needed. You know what I mean? But it's until I say, you know what, I needed to change, I started looking for it. You know what I'm saying? So as I started doing that, I had my wife, which I was married for 17 years. She was like one of my lawyer, my support. She was everything. And she ended up plugging me in with somebody that did community outreach, which worked with gang members that were in the San Fernando Valley. And it was just about plugging them into resources, tattoo removal, substance abuse treatment, mental health, whatever the case might have been that they needed. I would try to be that bridge to that,
Right on.
So I started being pretty good at it. And then next thing you know, there was another job that was offered that was case management. So I said, man, I'm gonna be honest with you, I hadn't even graduated junior high school. I had no educational background. The only background I had was my street credibility. So I said, I shot for it. My girl was like, man, just go for it, man. You never know what comes out of it. I got picked up, started working in Sereno, which is a northeast city right here in downtown Los Angeles. Started working with gang members, but in a different capacity. Like now I'm doing more like managing their files, making sure that they're plugged in, making sure everything's good in the system, and at the same time plugging them in with the resources they needed. From there, I just kept doing it. Then I became a program manager, and then I started going to college. I did it backwards. So I ended up going to college, went to East LA College, graduated from there. But before I graduated, I didn't know that you needed a diploma, high school diploma, to go to Cal State.
Oh,
so I was like, man, because you don't need one for community college. You need one to transfer over.
Got it.
And I'm like, damn. And I was like, I don't like math and I don't like English, bro. And I was like, man. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to shoot for it. I just paid for the thing. I went up in there and I took the test. Didn't even study or nothing. I passed it. I was like, man, I wish I would have done this when I was 13, 12 years old, man. You know what I mean? I was like, they would have been doctors right now, and so I was like, man, so long story short, I ended up doing that. And then, so ever since then, I've just been in that field.
Word.
I've just been getting the education background, certificates. I learned certain models. But the biggest thing that helps me out is understanding them where they're coming from.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So go ahead. So let me ask you a question, homie, real quick, because you said something very important that and me and Lopez have talked about this. You said mental health illness, within the gang culture and everything. That is a problem that I think that a lot of America doesn't give the same credibility to when there's other things going on. We don't talk about there's something wrong with these young men and women that are gonna go into these gangs. They're missing, and this isn't talking shit about them, but there is a mental illness that we need to address to fix so they don't feel like they need that. So we can give them the emotional support that they can get to where they don't need to feel like this is where I belong. I think that's something that's not given a affordable credit to the Black and brown community like it is of other people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You know what? I think I believe that down the long run, when you're gangbanging, you end up developing mental illness. But I think before you end up in the streets, you're not really, you're kind of aware what's going to happen, but you're not, because you haven't really been through it. It's like you could talk about war, But until you've been through war, you can really understand what it's about. You know what I'm saying? So I think that it starts off, like you said, at home. And then some of these kids have abandonment issues, have one single parent homes that don't have no supervision. So they're out there in the streets maneuvering, trying to see what they find, where they could belong. You get what I'm saying? And I think when they find that, they take it in as a family. It's a camaraderie. It's like when you guys go to the military, you find when you go overseas, or I'm just guessing, you're trying to find somebody that you identify with, right? So who do you find? You find somebody from California, you find somebody from Los Angeles, you find somebody that has some type of same interest, right?
Right.
So when you're out in the streets looking for someone to belong to, you're looking for someone that also has abandonment issues, also has these type of factors that are keeping you on the streets, right? And then you get together, and next thing you know, you create a relationship. And when you create that relationship, it becomes stronger than what you have in your family component at home. So when you're out there, that's why you're so in love with it. You get bamboozled, and you're like, no, this is my family. This is what I gotta die for. And then you start getting trained, and you start getting that mindset that, you know what, I gotta go all the way with it. I can't back down. And then you can't even stop if you want to, because you live in that community. So what are you going to do? You're going to be an outcast in that community. So as a child, that's hard to take. You know what I mean? You're like, damn, I don't want to be, you know what I mean, known as a name. I don't want to be a bitch. I don't want to be this and that. Because that's what they give you. That's what the society gives you. Or you gotta fight. You gotta be this. You gotta be that. You always gotta be something. You know what I mean? But you can never be yourself.
See,
you know what I'm saying?
And that's a great point. And I understand, because Hunt and I were having this conversation a couple of days ago where we were talking about gun violence. All right. And we're talking about, and I'll wait for him to get back, but I'll give you the quick rundown. We were talking about gun violence and how there's a lot of gun violence between our communities and the Latino community and the Black community. And they're like, how come that never gets shown as a mental issue problem versus when a white person does it, because they just had that shooting, right? So what I was trying to break down to him, and once he gets back, I'll go ahead and recap. What I told him was, like, within that community, in our sectors, the gun violence isn't at any at just random people. It's at specific people, kind of like a soldier. When we go to war, we have an enemy. And that's who we're going against. We're not going against civilians, you know. And that's what I was trying to tell him. And I told him, don't get it twisted, though. There are motherfuckers that are crazy as fuck already in the hood. Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead I'm gonna go ahead and recap this real quick. So just to let you know, I was telling him about what we were talking about on the last podcast, about how when Black or brown people or our people get involved in any kind of gun violence, it's just Black on brown crime or Black on Black crime. It's just crime. It's not known as mental illness. But when a white person does it, it's known as a mental issue. So what I was informing him of was, remember how I was telling you about, well, that's usually because when we do it, when our people do it, and it's gang violence, and it's a targeted to a specific person, kind of relating it to the military. When you go to war, you go fight a specific person. Unlike these mass shooters, they do have some mental illness, because they're going out to just smoke anybody for any fucking shits and giggles. And like I was telling people on the last podcast, you know, it got to the point, I'm in the 90s, that there was, a lot of people won't understand this, but there was certain regulations that you were not going to just spray out your fucking car. You had to stop the car, get out the car, and walk up to the motherfucker you were going to fucking pop. And if you didn't, there were certain repercussions. You know what I mean? So that's where I think the difference is. But that does, at the end of the day, like Dago was saying, in the future, it is going to give you some sort of fucking trauma to your head, to your brain. Because like he was saying as well, growing up where we grew up at, you don't want to be seen as a lame. You don't want to be seen as a bitch, because you do that, that's all you're going to be considered. You and your generations afterwards are going to be considered that. You know what I mean? And credibility on the streets is a big thing, you know? So I think that's the biggest difference on the conversation we were having. But as I was saying, though, there are some mentally ill motherfuckers in the hoods. We call them psycho 9 times out of 10. These motherfuckers will run into a fucking bullet to get at you, you know? And you were saying something interesting that brought, it kind of took me aback a little bit, Dago, which is in LA, there's kids who are not even involved in any of those activities, but they can already have PTSD.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I never thought about that, especially in environments that we grew up in, you know, witnessing drive-by shootings at the age of fucking 10 years old, 11 years old, you know?
Yeah.
That shit traumatizes you. And I never thought about it like that.
Or just not. I remember my mom taking me to Doña Esperanza's house to get babysitted.
Yep.
And I remember her getting robbed by the same guy every week. But because she needed to go to work and because she needed to pay the rent, she would just say, you know what, don't worry about what just happened. Throw me up in the babysitter and still go take the bus and come back at night through the same place that she just got robbed. And I think now back and I'm like, I wonder if she was scared. Like, I wonder if, you know what I mean? Like, I wonder what was going through her mind every time she had to pass through that alley.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, that's trauma itself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's trauma for us too, because I remember that till. You know what I mean? I still remember like grabbing my hair, pulling me aside, telling my mom, better give me my money. Or it was worse back then. There was no cell phones. And then there was nobody calling for help because there was fear of retaliation. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, the game is watered down.
Yeah.
They're trying to relive something that happened in the 90s. That time is gone, bro. You know what I mean? And the thing about it, these kids are being lost in that time. And when they're trying to reenact it, they're getting stuck for life and then end up telling on each other at the end of the day. That's just the way it is now.
Yeah, it's nostalgia. I think that people want to relive nostalgia. And when I say that, is because of not anybody on this panel, but in general, we are hyping up this. And like I said, it's not us on our panel. Our generation is living up our glory days. Yeah, like it was fun fighting in school, gang banging and whatnot, and having to run from one people because they had more than you and you running trying to get away from these motherfuckers. Because it was like maybe like 3 of y'all and 12 of them motherfuckers, and you're like, hey, nah, fuck this shit. We got to come back with some people. It is what it is. But I think that nostalgia effect, if things are a lot more dangerous, I see that it's being a lot more dangerous.
In LA, they're switching it up though. I mean, I know that they're coming up with the Chicano culture. They're coming up with the way they dress, stuff like that, right? And you know what? I go down Hollywood Boulevard, I go down Whittier Boulevard, I go down all these cruising areas, and it's awesome what you see because they're dressed like before, but they're not being harassed by law enforcement. They're not fighting. They're not killing each other. They're actually coming together as one and enjoying the day and making a big ass block party. You know what I'm saying? So it is beautiful now, but then you still got those which are probably on drugs because the majority are on drugs now. They're on meth or fentanyl or something. Right. And they're trying to come up on some drugs or they're trying to prove something because they're lost in the head. And that's how we get those killings. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I work with these guys. I was one of those, you know what I mean? I understand, like, you know what I mean? But now this is just a little bit more different because now even the homeless feel privileged. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like before when you were homeless, they would at least take you in or you didn't have a place to stay. And your friend or your friend's mom would be like, hey, mijo, come on, mijo. What do you mean you're going to be on the streets? I'm going to take care of you. You could here be here like 3 weeks. Don't worry about it, you know? Right. You're not going to be out on the streets. You're not going to be out in the rain. Nowadays, your own mama, your own son's kicking out your mama out the house and have her sleep in the streets. That's how fucked up our family component is, man. It's more about what's in it for me, what's in it for me, and it's not as a whole as a community no more. It doesn't, for them, it doesn't take a village no more. Now it's all about them, or I can find it on TikTok.
Yeah. You know so when you said that it was, when you said it, you know, like how y'all see them dress, right? The Chicanos. Obviously, I'm not, so you know, I didn't dress like that, right? That. But yeah, yeah, I don't know if you can tell from the lots, right?
I thought it was just not in the room, but I got you.
But do you think that, like, do you think that I can see them, you know, the young, you know, Latino culture wanting to just be like, hey, listen, this is like how, you know, my aunts, uncles, dads, moms grew up, and I don't want to necessarily be a part of that culture, but I want to respect it. And I think that, like, you know, that I should be able to wear this in respect of that culture.
Okay.
And here's the deal. But here's the deal, right? You got to remember, it's a tradition. You have people still wearing, like, you know, passing down generational things where, like, I'm wearing cowboy boots and I have to wear this, that, and the third. No one says nothing to these motherfuckers that, like, literally dress in a certain way that don't look like us because it was passed down and they're just respecting the cultural norms and what their people did before them. But like we were talking about, it seems like when y'all do it, the Chicanos do it, it's like, oh, well, now it's being gatekept.
Okay, here's my problem that I have with it. And all right, growing up in the 80s and 90s, there was a specific look, all right? And it wasn't Chicano culture, all right? It was fucking gangster culture. That's what it was. You wore fucking Ben Davis or Dickies creased up with some motherfucking Nike Cortezes with a motherfucking white t-shirt, a Pendleton, ball head, you were already specified a person. It was not a fucking Chicano culture. It was a gangster culture. And when I see motherfuckers like on TikTok putting that stuff on there, to me, it just thinks I think of it as like it's not a fucking costume, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's not a costume for you to wear because motherfuckers died without even back in the 90s when it was really popping off. You didn't even get hit up. If you were just happening to be in the wrong neighborhood and done. And nobody's going to say he wasn't a gang member because 9 times out of 10 he was. And when I see that glorified right now, it's almost to a point where it's like, to me, I see these kids who probably have parents or grandparents that were cholos. All right. And now they want to, like you were saying, live or try to glorify that. It's not glorifying, man. It's really not, because they could dress like that. It might not even bang. They're going to go to a lowrider show. And guess what? They're going to run into the real motherfuckers that do that shit for fucking fun. You know what I'm saying? Because that's their life. That's their lifestyle. Like you were saying, Dago, you know, there's no such thing as a halfway crook. You know what I'm saying? If you dress the part, you better be the part. So when they try to normalize it like it's a dress, a costume, it bothers me. It really bothers me. Maybe it shouldn't. Maybe
no,
it
that bothers me too.
does.
Because when I see like certain parties, like white people dressing up like gang members, or solo party, that's the same way as somebody were to dress up at a party and say, "Let's all dress up like slaves."
Right.
Or master.
Or Indians.
Just, you're disrespecting us now because we're not accustomed to them. But nowadays, bro, it's a whole different ball game, man. Yeah. Like I'm gonna be honest with you. Yeah, you got the way that they dress, but man, you got the worst. You got the most. You got straight killers. Yeah. Dressing on skinny jeans with a skateboard, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you. That time is gone, bro. The time that you identify somebody, and that happened through the gang injunctions.
The injunctions.
They came up with a law and said that we couldn't even be with our brother if he was from that neighborhood, or we'll go to jail for no reason. And they were just swooping everybody up, and that's why you didn't see no one in the streets. You would see them in the backyard or whatever. So that time is gone. So they understood that, and they adapted to it.
They adapted.
Said, okay, so if you're looking for this, then we'll give you this. You know what I mean? So now they got little skinny things. I'm talking about, I got straight gangbangers walking in USC right now in a major. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a whole different time, bro.
Yeah.
It's a whole different time. And we gotta go with what's relevant now. You know what I mean? Like that time passed. And it's awesome that they're embracing it. So, you know, you can't make someone do something. So what I do, I just try to look at the positive part about it. Say, oh, you guys are just chilling right here. You guys, I love how you guys are dressed. You know, this and that. Because at the same time, they're not creating no violence.
Right. You're right.
You know what I mean? Nipsey Hussle back in the day, one time good. Nipsey Hussle said one time, it's a cold thing that when you're gangbanging, who are you looking for when you're out in the streets? He said, you're looking for someone that looks just like you. He said, you out there, you're looking for someone that got the same kind of clothes as you, the same type of haircut, the same type of lingo, the same type of style. He was like, isn't that a cool thing that you could pass by all these people, but the one that you're identifying you're going to kill is the one that looks just like you. He said, and then he got deeper into that. He goes, isn't that crazy how we're trying to kill ourselves out there? And that's what it is, bro. We're out here hating what we do, hating what we like, or hating the way that we've been labeled.
Yeah.
And we're saying, well, fuck you then. Then if you want this, then I'll give you this. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then you get so caught up in it that you go into prison, and then in prison, these kids don't even know what to expect, because you go to prison. If you were lazy out here, you ain't gonna be lazy in there. If you don't know how to work out, you're gonna learn how to work out here. If you don't know how to clean up after yourself, you gonna clean up after yourself right here. You ain't got no mama, and if you don't want to learn, you got 39 seconds on that wall to find out. Second time, strike out. I mean, so it's like now it's the survival mode. Now you want to really be with the big dogs. This is where you're gonna learn it at. You know what I'm saying? And so, go ahead, my brother.
Oh man, I'm sorry to interrupt you, man, but I agree with you. Like, for instance, if I was to start dressing up, or if I was to see some a lot of black people dressing up in zoot suits, I'd be like, nah, that really wasn't what we were doing back then. Yeah, we still had suits, but it wasn't the zoot suit look.
No, it wasn't.
Like a lot of the Latin American, culture had. Now, Dickies, I think that, black people, we wore Dickies too. I know that y'all wore Dickies as well, but we wore Dickies too. Hell, matter of fact, I'm about to go get me some Dickies. White shirt, fitted hat, Jordans under Dickies, like Pimp C said. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to go get me some. But I think it's now, like you said, like if I could see, white people doing this shit, I'm like, nah, man, I know exactly what y'all doing. Y'all trying to make fun of some shit. But for the younger generation, especially, like with the Latin culture, if they want to do that, maybe I'm wrong, But I don't see them as long as they're not saying like I'm having a flag in my right pocket. You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying I'm this, but I know I'm not.
Right.
But if I can see like, hey, listen, this is kind of like it's old school dress. You got like I think a lot of us still there's that trend that always comes back around to where the 70s come back in, the 80s come back in, the 90s come back in. So I can see them doing that as long as they're not saying that I am a gang member. I got a flag hanging out of my right pocket or whatever the fuck. And you know that you ain't about that life. You can't recite shit from that. You know what I'm saying? I can understand and be like, all right, guy.
I don't know. I get what you're saying. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go
ahead.
Oh,
no. You good, fam.
No, so I mean, to me, I guess I just I acquaint it to my past, seeing it, and I don't want it to be glorified. I just don't want it to be glorified. Like that's the thing to do. Like you were saying, Dago, because then the next step is they're going to end up in the fucking joint. All right. And unfortunately, when we were growing up in the 90s, there was a very influential movie that was called American Me. I'm not going to talk much about that movie, but there was enough to it to, at least I'm going to speak for myself. For me, it seemed like that was the natural evolution to where my area of where I was supposed to go to in my life. All right. We didn't see it's like even in the movie, they have a dude that went to college, was a fucking lawyer, but they didn't focus much on him. All he said, he thinks like his shit don't stink. You know what I'm saying? And that's how we perceived it in the hood. Like if you go to college and you become something of yourself, you ain't no good. You just a uppity motherfucker. Right. We didn't glorify that, which we should have. You know what I'm saying? No, we glorified the motherfuckers that went to jail, came back out, and we saw the respect that they were given to on the streets. And again, we come from a fucking culture, at least in that society, where your reputation is everything, and my time is about to run out. Dago, you still got a few more minutes with us?
Yeah. What time is yeah. All right. I gotta go by 11:30 or something.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and send you a new link, and we're gonna continue this conversation. I hope you guys are enjoying this. Give me a few minutes. I'm gonna send you the new link, y'all.
Gotcha. All right, I got to piss again. This little ass bladder of mine.
I wonder why. I'll see you in a few.
This meeting is being recorded.
I don't know why that bitch has to tell everybody that, but yeah, those are California.
You won't get sued.
That's true.
So the first segment was brought to you by Ozarka. This segment is going to be brought to you by Uncle Nearest.
Uncle Nearest
and Top Ramen.
Top Ramen. No, so as we were talking about, we're talking about glorifying certain cultures, certain social subculture activities like gangbanging and gangsters. All right. And I wish I really wish there would have been more about glorifying the Hispanics that actually made something of themselves, or not just Hispanics, but those that came out of the same environment we came out in. I don't want to just say it's a black or Hispanic or brown thing. It's a nationwide thing. I don't like to split us up and leave the white people out there, because you know what? There are white folk that grow up in these areas as well.
They're poorer than us.
Bro, yes. Yeah, Hunt's not trying to hear that. Hunt thinks all
white. I know they are. Yeah, I know. Yeah, Dago, I heard me and you got a common enemy, brother. Hey, listen. Hey, I heard we got a common enemy.
Oh, man. Leave MAGA alone, man. No, but so now he fucking leaves. But here we go. So Hunt, as we're talking about this Chicano culture and all that stuff, I'm gonna blow all your fucking minds away right now.
Because I'm an expert in it.
Because we ain't Chicano. We ain't what they would call Chicano, bro. We are straight fucking Central American. Yeah. Now, we don't fit the mold of the Chicano stereotype, because to Mexicans, Salvadorans, we are nowhere near their status. And that's the infighting within Salvies. It's kind of like within the blacks, how y'all have the Moors and y'all have the Israeli Hebrews and all them. But this is a little more deeper, because we're actually, the same motherfuckers, but we just talk a little differently. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not going to lie, man. I'm not even going to front with you. Like, for the longest, I had no beef with the El Salvadorians. I thought they were cool, but then I found out that one person was half El Salvadorian. So I don't know, man. Like, I kind of
That's that Guatemalan side that you ain't liking, all right? The Saudi side, we cool. Unless you burn us. You burn us, then you burning. But nah, dude. But the thing is that we were heavily influenced. At least I know I was, because Dago, when he ended up growing up more, he went to the west side of LA, which is more predominantly Central American. Where I was at was predominantly Mexican. So I was heavily influenced by the Mexican culture. And it would be funny when this motherfucker would come by my house and shit. He'd be like, ¿Qué pasó, hijo de la gran puta? Which is, in El Salvadorian language, it's a normal, hey, how you doing? But in Mexican culture, like, this motherfucker just called me a big ass son of a bitch. What the fuck? But it's just trippy. But anyways, the reason that it bugs me is because the gangster culture is not something that should be glamorized. It was just something that we grew into, that it was part of life. There were many ways that we could have all gone. Some of us just like a little more risk. And I think that me and him, I have a baby face, dog. I have a face that just looks like I will never do nothing wrong, which is cool. I appreciate that. But me and this motherfucker got into a lot of shit when we were kids. You know what I'm saying? So we did a lot of dumb, stupid shit. But that's what happens, when you're products of your environment. And what's awesome though is that what I do love seeing is that that now you're giving back to the community, that could have torn you down. So how do we go about building on that now? How do we go about building within the community?
Well, for me, I think it's the stigma. Stop labeling these guys as only because they're gang members, they're out to do bad.
Right.
They're not. It's only like a few, it's like a small percentage of gang members that are actually out there doing bodily harm, violence, drive-bys. It's not all of them. Some of them are just in a gang just to have friends, for the females, for the money, for the drugs. They're not all out there shooting up people, you know what I mean? So I think that we need to go in there. Gangs are here. Gangs been here, at least in Los Angeles, at least since the late 1800s. You know what I mean? That's how far gangs go. So it doesn't seem like they're going to go anywhere. So instead of just trying to break them down, why don't we just embrace them and then bring in the resources that they need to become positive role models in their community? Like, why don't we say, okay, this gang member right here just got out of jail, and instead of just throwing them back into the streets with no home and no job, why don't we put them somewhere where we're going to be able to develop them, and they give him about a year, and then let him go out there, become somebody, and then he turns around and does the same thing for the next person. So we got to keep building them up. You know what I mean? We can't just say, oh, he's a gang member, he's no good, lock him up forever. You know what I mean? It's not working. It's not going to work. You can't lock your way out of it. You know what I mean? The thing is that we got to bring them in, build a relationship, because these guys, some of them been through the system. They know what a therapist, they don't want to sit in front of no therapist. They don't want to sit in front of no technician. They don't want to sit in front of someone that just drove all the way into Los Angeles about an hour ago, and then tells you, oh, this is what's wrong, boo, 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 this and that, and then leaves, go back to his home, and then you got to deal with the shit in the streets. People are tired of that shit, man. You know what I mean? So what we need is people from the same community that rose up out of it, became somebody, and is able to give that knowledge to the next person down. And we can't just say, oh, because most people that make it in the hood, what's the first thing they do? They go buy a house somewhere else. Bye, see ya. Good luck, man. Hope you're alive next year. I mean, that's the mentality that we have. You know what I mean? Yep. So I just take it back. Now we just got to build each other up, because if we leave it to this, I know that you guys are in the military, but we leave it to the government, and we leave it to the welfare system. If we leave it to all this, we're always going to be oppressed. It's the same.
The welfare system is what keeps people.
They just don't want you to do better than them. That's how it gets down.
I will say you hit the nail right on the head when you talked about resources. Two, if you look at it, some of these children, and they're kids, they're children, they're smarter than their counterpoints that are not in gangs, but unfortunately, because they don't have the same resources, they're not allowed to let that flourish. These are some smart ass kids. They can do a lot of things, but unfortunately, there's no incentive for them to express their intelligence. Now we got to do something in our communities where these children can, express their intelligence, because these are some smart ass kids. Yes. These are some, these kids, I guarantee you, if you give these kids an opportunity and an outlook at some, we'll say culture type things, chess, these motherfuckers are going to flourish. Okay. These motherfuckers will probably be beating grandmasters because they're so smart.
That's my game, man. That's my game.
Shit. Chess, man, I love fucking chess, bro. Man, I love, man. Listen, me and my boys, we be playing chess left and right. And I flipped. I ain't gonna lie. I'm spoiled brat. Like motherfuckers beat me. I flipped the board. I was like, "Yo, fuck you, get out of here. I'll beat your ass."
That's how people get fucked up.
I did it. Me, when I did that to them, is because I want them to be like, "Yeah, I beat you. I'm better than you." That's why I did that, because I'm like, you know what, Dad, I'm better than you. I had you on tilt. So that's why I do it to them, to let them know they're like, I boost their ego up. So they can be like, you know what, I'm better than you, Dad. I can beat you any day of the week.
Yeah, you get your ass choked. Some doing some shit like that.
No. If I'm playing a regular person, I ain't gonna do it. I'm gonna take that L. But I joke around with them to let them know, like, yo, you're better than me.
I take it harder than that just on Call of Duty, and that's on a microphone. Let them know the real.
We need to do that. Resources. You hit the nail right on the head. Resources.
I agree.
Now, this is what I will say. For the people that do make it out the hood, I don't want them coming back. I want them to invest in the hood. I don't think that you should forget where you came from. So instead of you going back there and you possibly getting into the same trouble, just invest in there. You can be a straw man. You can be working behind the scenes. But as long as you put that effort into making sure that, you're providing a better outlook, I don't think that Prince donated a lot. So if y'all are familiar with what happened with Trayvon Martin, Prince paid for that, and it didn't come out to years later that Prince paid for the whole funeral. That's what I think that celebrities and people that make it out the hood,
investing in the hood, though. That's too late.
No. What I'm saying is, like, I was just using that as an example to where people are actually doing this. But if and no one knew about that. But like, if people actually did that, so they can invest in the hood before it's too late, and their names are not out there, and no one knows about it, other than like that small people that are. Hey, listen, he's actually funding this, but he doesn't want nobody to know. He's funding this community center, but we can't let anybody know. I think that's what should be done.
A lot of the things that I see with investment in the neighborhoods that we grew up in, one is, and I'm playing devil's advocate, but I'm also, I'm looking at it from now a point of view of a 45-year-old who grew up in that neighborhood. I would love to invest in my community, in my neighborhood. Let's say open up like we were talking, a community center or a rec center. If I had the money, I would definitely do it. But would I open up a business? Probably not. Why? Because at the corner store where my house is, I don't know how many times that place got robbed. It got burnt down during the riots. Anytime there's a social uprising, I'm gonna be wondering, is my shit a target? You know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of motherfuckers don't want to invest in the neighborhoods because there's been a sort of a trend that people will tend to burn down their own neighborhoods when there's an uprising. So not only that, can you let's say you do want to invest in that. Do you know how much insurance would be just for that? Because of the historical fucking data showing that you're more than likely not going to last here. You know what I mean?
So say you open up just like nothing that's going to be like a chain restaurant. But you open up something that like that people are gonna love, and because you have that street cred and people know who you are, do you think that like people are gonna look at Nipsey Hussle when he did that whole little block, the marathon thing? Up until the time that homeboy, killed him, people didn't fuck with that shit. The Bloods didn't fuck with it. The Crips didn't fuck with it. Off of the strength of, hey, listen, nah, man, we're gonna protect this shit, right? So do you think that like even if you open up a fast food place where people can come get burgers, fries, or whatever, based off the strength that who you wore prior to that, and they knowing who you wore, I don't think that you would have a problem with your business being fucked up, because people would be like, nah, man, we got to respect this motherfucker. Even if it's two different sides.
So
we respect him.
Let's evolve on that. Why can't it just be like that for all the businesses? You see what I'm saying? It needs to be like that. So I think it goes back to what Dago was saying, and I think we're all saying, invest in our communities. I mean, we talk about investing, but we don't have the funds to do shit like that. All we can do is come up with solutions or possible solutions because we were there. You know what I'm saying? So to Dago's point real quick about the gangs, they're always going to be there. Did you know that the only reason they're called gangs is because that's what they were classified as by the police?
Yeah.
Prior to that, they were clubs. You know what I'm saying? They were not gangs. They were clubs. So once they took on the name as a gang, of course that's going to fucking criminalize it. It's going to stigmatize it. And all of a sudden it's going to be something negative. And it didn't start all about fucking bang, bang, pow, pow. It was nothing about that. Like you said, it started in the 1800s, late 1800s, early 1900s, especially in LA. It was more of a community thing. backing out, looking out for each other. There's a lot of fucking gangs in LA that, you know, have fucking names that people have no idea where they come from until you look into the map and like, oh, that's why it's called this Flats, or that's why it's called that. You know, they don't know their own history. But
yeah, like Los Angeles was in Los Angeles, so the United States took it from Mexico. It was, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. And the reason I say that is because gangs were learned from somewhere. Just like you learn behavior,
yeah.
Gangs, if you look how gangs run, it runs the same way as this country does. It dominates. It wants resources. The more resources you have, the more dominant you are in that street. You got more drugs, you got more prostitutes, you got more things coming in, the stronger you are.
Right.
If you feel you're threatening on the borders, what do? You post up on the borders and you say you're not coming in this way. You know what I mean? If you guys are not going going to the politics, go to prison, have somebody send a wire, take it back and put these people in place. It's learned.
Right.
Even like during the Pachuca riots, there's systems in place. Like I said again, for us not to make it to what we want. Like I said, they want us to do good, but not better than them. Right. So there's like even Pachuca, there were stores that had Pachuca clothing. That was their identity. But when they did, they stripped them away. That's what they did. They stripped them when they were doing the riots. When the time the sailors came in, they stripped them of all their clothing and shamed them in front of their people to say, what? We're bigger than you guys. This is our land. Get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? And what happened, those systems, remember, the laws, everything that was put in place wasn't made for us. Was made for the white man. That's who the best interest was when they made the Constitution. When they made all these things, when the colonists when they were fighting, they weren't thinking about, oh, the brown man's going to be able to live real good. The black man's going to be real good after this. No, the white man's going to be able to, you know what I mean? Continue his orders to the next man, you know what I mean? That's just the way it is, bro. And then we don't see it, but there's still social systems in place that keep us where we're at, bro. And you might not see it, but just like they're giving out housing, people say, oh, the homeless got housing. Oh my God, no. You know where I work housing? If you start going to college full-time student, you lose your housing. If you start making income more than 30% of what this rent is worth, you lose your housing. It's like they keep you there and you can't think higher than where you're at, because if not, you lose your housing, you're homeless again. They keep you where you're at, bro.
So here's my my counter to that. I agree with what you're saying about, but I don't think I think that was maybe the intent back then, but there's nothing stopping us now from achieving what greatness we want to achieve.
Either was it back then?
What's stopping us is names, last names, first names. Because if you think about it, if you honestly, it is, because if you think about it, if you don't believe me, look at this right here, right? You know, for an example, with us, they're not even requiring you to take a DA photo no more when you're going up for that 7 board. So that way they can't even see, oh, this is a whoever.
And I'm 100% agreeing with that.
And that's what we're saying. That's what, like, I agree with Dago. Like, it's names in this case that's keeping people from doing it. Because if you have 2 people that are qualified for the same education,
bring it.
Yeah, same education, qualified. They're gonna look at it and be like, you know what? I don't know about this Lopez fella. I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna be quiet real quick. Statistically speaking, because we're talking about numbers, because men lie, women not lie, but numbers don't lie.
When they get
statistically speaking, a white person, average white person, it has a 6% chance of becoming a millionaire straight from high school.
Okay.
An average white person it's like a 38% chance of becoming a millionaire with a master's degree. I don't know about the Latino community because, you know, I was focused on one thing, obviously, but a black person has a 6% chance of becoming a millionaire with a master's degree. So you can't tell me that there's something that's like, I wouldn't say holding us back, but there's something in this system that we can see that there's data and numbers backed up with this that is not holding people back. And it's like you said, I'm giving you this just to stay here, but I won't let you rise any further. So you can't grow in income.
Let me ask you something. So do you think it's right to go ahead and start fucking hiring people or start fucking giving things to people simply based on their race or their skin?
No,
they did that. Skills. It was called affirmative action.
They got to do it under skills. Like when you get a resume and you got to put down what race you are, that's you shouldn't be able to do that.
I'm 100% with you on that.
It shouldn't even be names
or
on your
name.
college application. It should be strictly what you done, what you honored on, and what your qualifications are. And
exactly. I'm 100%
last
on
names.
That. No,
yeah,
last names
only because that's how they start judging.
No last
well,
names.
yeah, because they're still gonna judge off of because of like different cultures' last names.
Washington,
yeah. So take away the last name and the race, you'll be fine, man.
So
first name too.
Leave all that shit. Oh yeah, trust me, we know Dashika is not gonna be some white girl.
First name, yeah.
We know that Maria Carmen is not fucking. Anyway, but here's the problem: if you do that, due to numbers alone, being that the majority of the people are white, by numbers alone, they're gonna fucking have more dominance on it by numbers alone. But here's where I was getting at as far as using when this president that we have, this piece of shit, sleepy-eyed motherfucker, when he said, I'm gonna have myself a black vice president, that alone, make that a requirement to be vice president. That's racist. Okay, that's weaponizing a race, right? Okay. Oh, I'm gonna hire a black fucking justice. Okay, right there, you're basing it off of race. We're not basing it anymore off of their career, their goals, their aspirations. We're basing it simply on their gender and their fucking race, and that's wrong. So now we're being guilty of doing the same shit that they did back in the day. Do you see what I'm saying?
So race or representation?
Huh?
Race or representation?
First of all,
because let's not
again.
forget there is a Latino. She's Puerto Rican, and I believe she's the first.
Sotomayor.
The first, and who else did that? So, are you mean even if she's not a woman, not the first? Are you mean to tell me out of all the judges, out of everybody that could have been nominated, why did it take to the 2020, 2018
qualification? Because we're going by qualification. Oh my God, you want to go to the?
We're talking about qualifications.
Let's talk Army.
No, qualifications. Ketanji Brown Jackson is more qualified. If you want to talk about qualifications, qualified than the rest of the 9 judges on that court.
So let's go ahead and do what we're saying. Look, check this out, Dago. In the military, in order to get promoted to the senior ranks of Sergeant First Class and above, you have to go to a board. And it's not you personally, it's your records. And in your records, all that's going to be in there is all the schools you've done, how much time you've done in each position, what you have done in your progression in your career. And based off of that, there's a list that you fall into. Okay. Now, back in the day, there were certain things you could do because you had certain people that were in those boards that you could wear a certain ring, and all of a sudden you're on the list. Or hey, we need to fill a certain quota because we don't have enough of this person's or enough of this gender. So to me, when I see that happen, you're taking, who affirmative action hurt a lot? Asians.
People of color that benefited white women more than anybody else.
So
statistically
again,
speaking,
don't you think they should get rid of affirmative action? Because all that is racism.
Why do you think they haven't done it? And I'm gonna shut up so Dago can talk. Why do you think they haven't got rid of affirmative action? Because it benefits one people above. It benefits white women. Now people always talk about, oh, look at what Trump did. He did the First Step Act. Now if we talk about the First Step Act, right? Who did it benefit? Federal criminals. If you look at it, and once again, we're going by numbers, the people that are more likely to be convicted of a federal crime are white people. State crime is black, brown, and other people. So this didn't help out. Everybody wants to, Trump did this for criminals. Federal criminals that this benefited more were the white people. If he wanted to do something, it should have been for state crimes that are normally dished out and harshly dished out for black, brown, and other people. But the First Step Act wasn't meant for us. It was meant for the white people.
Let's talk about crime. Somebody who's been in prison.
Yeah. Hey, I'll still be able to hear y'all. I'll still be able to hear y'all, but I got to piss. I can hear y'all.
Yeah. So let's talk about crime in prison. Dago, how many people in prison are there innocently?
Man, well, everybody's innocent.
Exactly. Right? Everybody's innocent, right?
But I mean, how many people are in there for doing the same crime that another individual will probably be overlooked by? A lot.
Can you give an example?
Like I say, somebody that got caught with a bunch of weed back in the days. He's in there doing maybe from 3-strike law, doing 25 a life.
Right.
And then you got stores open today that you could just walk in, get marijuana, and walk out like it was a cigarette. So you got someone doing life or something like that. And then out here, you got people socializing like it was alcohol or something.
Right.
You know what I mean? That just doesn't make sense.
So, because one thing, okay, so one of the conversations that Hunt and I get into a discussion a lot is how the word disproportionately in prisons, it's the majority are minorities, right? Black and Latinos that are in jail.
It depends which prison, which state you're at.
That's one.
If you're like in Alabama, Minnesota, you're going to have dominant whites. Because that's the biggest majority. That's the biggest.
That's the majority, right?
Yeah, it's the majority.
In LA, okay, so when you go to the big cities, they call it urban areas.
Right.
The majority of the people that are there are going to be of minority race or ethnicity. So what happens? They're the ones doing the majority of the crime.
Right.
So that's the reason that they're the majority in the prison system.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why when people start saying we're disproportionately no, fool, you guys are majority doing the crime. You know, oh, there you go. Go ahead.
Yeah, no.
Counter it.
You remember the guy, and his name escapes me right now. He was a young man. He was on the swim team, and he assaulted a woman So like, and then you look at the same judge that tried his case and was like, you know, he made a mistake. He's a young man. He has his future ahead of him. But you look at how he's dealt out harsher sentences for not even molesting or raping a woman. For assaulting a woman to people with nonviolent crimes.
That is bullshit. It's like, I agree with you. That's bullshit.
The judge voiced it. The judge voice said, I don't want to mess up this guy's future. That's why I'm giving him this sentence. Now imagine if you would have told that to all our kids. Man.
Exactly.
That's bullshit there. Yeah. Look, that's up there with that fucking kid who was a victim of affluency or affluenza.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
So rich. He didn't know any better, and he killed people in the DUI incident. That's some bullshit. Now, you know what that is? That's having enough money to make shit move. Now, I don't believe in this white privilege thing. I do believe in social economic privilege. I believe that if you have a lot of money, enough money, no matter the color of your fucking skin, you got the money, you got the good lawyer, you got the way to buy yourself out of prison. Now, unfortunately, a lot of us don't come from that. Now, here's one of the things I wanted to get back, and just to circle back to the whole gang thing, and why people join them and affiliate themselves into those groups is because our households were predominantly working. Like our parents were working, and when they got home, they had to deal with home bullshit. So we were like skedaddle, you know. So we went to go look for that affirmation elsewhere. All right. So why am I saying this? Because now we're the first generation. Now we have our kids. Like, for example, I have my kids here. I try to spend as much time as possible with my kids so that they're not influenced by, well, not that I live out in the same area that I did before, but what I'm saying is if the family was there to pay more attention to the children, probably different decisions would have been made. You know what I mean? But they didn't have the opportunity, and it's not out of that they didn't want to, it's that they couldn't. Because in order to put a roof over our head and clothes on our back and, you know, our fucking belly full, they had to go work. You know what I'm saying?
And it was more like a culture shock to them. You know what I mean? They're coming from another country to this country with different norms, different culture. You know what I mean? Different identity. Like it's totally different from where they grew up from.
Right.
Even the way they were raised, you know? And for them, even at that time in the 80s, 90s, gangs were on high alert. You know what I mean? There was a lot of people dying back to back. And what would you see in the news? Oh my God, acaban de matar este niño. They got this kid. And with your parent is coming back home, my mom, she'll come back home, she'll watch novelas or she'll be watching the news. My dad at some point will come back to start drinking, stay out, and then wake up the next day and do it all over again. You know what I mean? To the point when he stopped drinking because he went to jail. And you know, that's a whole different ballgame, right? But what I'm trying to say is that they didn't understand how to raise us because they didn't understand the culture. Right. So just because you're dressing a certain way or you're not dressing the way they dressed when they were young, they already thought that you were up to no good.
Right.
So they were like, "Hey, te estás vistiendo como cholo. Hey, why you got your hair like that?" Oh, and by doing that, they kind of even pushed you more into gangs because you were like, "Damn, they don't even want to understand me." So you're like, "But you gotta look deeper into everything." You know what I mean? Because what they're trying to do is they're trying to come up with their own identity. But at the same time, you're not being allowed to. It's like when the Aztecs and the Mayans were stripped down from the Spaniards of their culture.
Right.
That's why we only have 3 books of the Aztecs understanding them. Because what they told, you're gonna believe in my God. You're gonna believe in this, and if not, then we're gonna kill you. You know what I mean? And that's what it was. They took our names, they took everything, and they stripped us down. That's what they do, bro. They strip you down and they make you adjust to what they want. Their agenda.
Now go ahead, Hunt. Go ahead.
So y'all brought up interesting points, because you were like So you mean to tell me, right? Because you said like, I'm a paraphrase. You were talking about, because, there was that working environment, the family really didn't have time with us. And y'all were saying that, that because they didn't have that time because they were working, that we had to turn to this outlet. And our parents couldn't understand us turning to this outlet, right? Mm-hmm. And because it was kind of like we were changing. We didn't know it at the time, but we were changing societal and cultural norms. Could y'all agree?
Yeah.
Because we turned to these outlets. Lopez, you were in the military, man. You know what it's like to get up early as fuck and still got to come back and spend some FaceTime with them kids, even though you tired as fuck because you just been dealing with somebody else's fucking kid who's dumb as fuck, and then you got to come back and try to. But here's the deal, and I know I'm kind of going off on tangent. If we understood that, and we all can agree that that social norms change, we can agree on other things too. That there's certain other social norms that are in today's society that have to change, and we just don't get it.
I'm not gonna call you they them. All right, I'm not gonna call you they them. It's not gonna fucking happen. I don't give a fuck.
You call me Texas Longhorn, call me King Dingaling, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
But see, what I'm getting at though is what I wanted it all to kind of incorporate was that as we tend to establish ourselves in America and American society, we are able to spend more time and break that cycle of work, sleep, and not avoid because we have to our kids, but because there's just no time to spend them because we're fucking tired. Why did I do what I did at work? Why did I do it? Because I couldn't do it no more. I was focusing 100% of my fucking mental time to my job. And then when I turn around and open the door, I didn't want to deal with these motherfucking kids. I'm tired, my stress, and then what do they end up getting? They get a shitty dad. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I'd rather not fucking have that, because I'm not going to say that my parents were the greatest, but they were great to me. My dad, a little bit harsh. And, bro, this cat right here, he saw some of the ass whoopings I got. My dad would make me cut my own branch that he was going to whoop my ass with.
Yeah. Must be nice.
But see,
Daryl wasn't there.
I know. Yours never came back from buying milk. I get it.
They're fucking kids.
But no, what I'm saying is, once we normalize having a nuclear family, we're able to be there for the kids and help assist, guide them as to what to avoid, right from wrong. If not, they're going to learn right from wrong from what we consider nowadays the wrong person. Now, what I found on the streets with my homeboys, first of all, didn't realize or know what a gang was when I was a young kid. To me, it was just a group of friends that you just grow up with. You know what I'm saying? But I will say one thing. When I was first growing up in LA, it was majority black in South Central. So motherfuckers would try. Yeah. Shit changed. Just so you know, shit changed like that in the 90s.
Reverse Uno, motherfucker.
Reverse Uno card like a motherfucker. But because of that, the blacks had a little thing where they used to like to fuck with us. They used to like to, because we didn't wear the fucking Nikes. We had Pro Wings, or we had church shoes. We had fucking shoes from El Piojito, which, that if you're from LA, El Piojito right across the street from MacArthur Park. That's where you clothes. But we would get picked on for that shit. That was teasing. All right. To me, that's teasing. That's just part of growing up. It made me to the person who I am now. I mean, to a point, it got some bullying. But anyways, we unite within ourselves. And I never looked at it as a gang until I got older and realized, okay, these are the steps that I'm taking, blah, blah, blah. I started off with tagging and moved up against those ranks. He knows what I'm talking about. That's why he's not in his head. But, if my parents possibly would have been there, I followed in the footsteps of my bigger brother, my older brother, Doug, who just happened to be walking in those paths. My older brother, Ramiro, he was walking in certain paths. Again, we're all first generation. We're trying to find an identity within our own community because our own community sees us as substandard because we're not Mexican. That's the worst part, bro. Because we're not Mexican, we don't fit in with the Chicano crowd. You know what I'm saying? And because we ain't black, we definitely don't fit in with the blacks. They make fucking fun of us. You know? You think I'm bullshit? I used to get jumped by those little motherfuckers, man. You
Hey
know?
man, I mean, hey, shout out to the black people, man.
Bro, I got my ass whooped. I got my ass whooped walking back from South Park Elementary because I was wearing a red bomber jacket. Oh no, it was a red lumberjack jacket that my sister Sylvia had bought me. And I lived in the all Crip neighborhood, bro. All
Yeah,
Crip
blood.
neighborhood.
What up, slime?
Bro, I was
What
like
up, slime?
bro, I was like in 5th grade, bro. 4th grade. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting my ass whooped by the twins, by the motherfucking all these motherfuckers that lived out there in the hood. Anyways, go ahead, Dago. I'll give you some. What do you think?
I don't think there's no such thing as a perfect parent, man.
Yeah.
There's no manual. There's no you got to do this. I think what you can do is do your best. You know what I mean? Provide love, nourishment. You know what I mean? Show them that you love them and show them how to love others and respect others. You know what I mean? And then whatever you teach them as they're going in life, they'll know how to use it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But you got kids won't do so much what you say is what you do. We could preach all day, but the best preaching is done on your behavior and the way you walk around, the way you carry yourself. You know what I mean? That'll carry volume than anything else there is. And as far as the communities and helping them out, you can have all the education in the world, you can have all the money in the world. But if you don't have a relationship with that community, you don't have shit. Right. Bottom line, bro. You could bring all the resources you want, but if there's no one there breaking it down to you, it's useless. It's almost like buying a BMW and don't even have money for gas. The fuck you buy that car for? You know what I'm saying? All you're doing is trying to put on a show. That's all it is.
You buying the charger. You buying that RT charger, and you like, what the fuck?
On, baby. Baby. Come on,
bro.
Baby.
I'll tell you what.
In the middle, charger, huh?
Yeah, I got Gigi be doing her thing. Yeah.
Right too,
you got a charger too?
Yeah.
Oh my
hell yeah, man. That Hemi be going, goddammit.
Hell yeah.
Oh my.
But you get what I'm saying though, you know what I mean? It's just, and we can't save the world, bro. But we could do it a person at a time, bro.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily have to go out there and give up your life for something. You could make somebody's life different just by going to the grocery store and saying hello, how you doing? How you been? You know what I mean?
Fucking
it's the simple things like that make a difference. You never know what someone's going through until you actually talk to them, man. You know, and there's people out there they're going through a lot of stuff. And for men, it's even harder because we're taught not to show our emotions. We're taught not to speak about things. You know, a woman's easily in a marriage. Oh, how you doing, babe? Oh, she's doing bad. She's having the problems. You got the whole world looking out for her, trying to talk to her, trying to calm her down. You got a man that says, "Oh man, I've been having issues. I've been going through a lot at home." Man, you a little bitch, man. What the fuck are you talking about? You know? And that's the thing. We gotta raise up the men to take charge and not take charge, but to fill in that male figure at home.
So
you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of empty households with no male figures in there. And 100%. That's what they're looking for. They need that 2-parent home, you know?
Thank
you. It makes a difference, bro.
Thank you. Yes. You have said it. To me, it goes back to that where it was the government alone fucking made it easy for people to get paid and get money by being in single family homes, you know, and it's been working. It's fucking been working. But, you know, again, we come from we come from a nuclear household. Dago and I think that one of the differences from us is because we're first generation here. We weren't established roots here. You know what I mean? I think that, you know, our future generations will have a little bit better opportunities than we did because of the choices that we made. But now we're better in life, I think, you know, like I was thinking back about, you know, how the fuck our parents left their shithole countries. I said it, they're shithole countries, you know, and I know you don't like that phrase, but it's a shithole country.
Maybe Guatemala, but I don't know about El Salvador.
There's a
Guatemala.
I'll tell you offline why he does not like Guatemala very much. I'll tell you offline. But no, I mean, they left those countries because, you know, they were in the middle of civil war. their poverty, and they came over here to look for a better life. Not a better life that they were going to enjoy, because they never got to enjoy it. A better life for their kids to enjoy. And what do we end up doing? Doing the youth? We fucking acclimated to the wrong shit. But hindsight being 2020, bro, it's great seeing the maturity in people. Like, I'm telling you, himself, myself, a lot of folks that we grew up around back in those days, you know, to who we are now, the men that we are now, it's a big fucking difference. And I apologize to my family, like to my mom, my dad, like, I'm sorry that I put you through all that shit, you know, because you came here to give us a better life. And I thanked you by making you cry, by making you worry, you know, and whatnot. But at least now through those hardships, there's positive. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But let me go ahead. Hey, we got time for one more.
No, actually, I got to go eat. But I definitely want to be on here again when Dago's on here, because we didn't get to talk about what I really want to talk about.
All right.
Our mutual love for somebody.
How about, you got 10 minutes?
Fuck it, yeah, 10 minutes.
10 more minutes. All right, 10 minutes. I'm gonna send a new one out, and we'll end up with my Lord and Savior MAGA Trump. All right, see you in a few minutes. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Lopez. So check it out. Unfortunately, I forgot to hit record on the last fucking 40 minutes of this podcast. So we had great conversation, but unfortunately, it didn't get recorded, and everybody had to go do different things. Dago had to go. Well, he was going to a Dodgers game, and Hunt was about to go eat. So unfortunately, we were unable to get that one in. But just know that it was good convo. It continued going on forward. Anyway, I want to thank Dago for being on here. Thank Hunt for jumping on as well on a weekend. I know that, you know, the weekends are to ourselves, and for them to give me some time like that, I really appreciate it. I can't wait to have Dago back on here. Honestly, him and I, like I said, you couldn't find one without the other as we were growing up. So I hope y'all enjoyed it. If y'all have any questions for him, maybe you want to know a little bit more about his background, any questions regarding, like, you know, what gang culture was about, why he joined, or why he made these decisions that he did, you know, let me know. Hit us up on the gunline@gmail.com, and I'll definitely have him on here. You know, I hope y'all enjoyed him. I enjoy hanging out with him all the time, no matter what, just conversations that we have. It might not be Army related or military related. It's just great conversation, you know. Yeah, I mean, I was a soldier with the U.S. military, and he was a soldier with the streets of L.A. So different soldiers were, but same type of probably, I guess you could say, it was a drive that we had. So with that said, thank y'all for listening to this episode. Again, on the gunline@gmail.com. If you have any questions, concerns, if you need advice, hit me up, and I would love to answer your questions. So if you have any stories you want to share, send them to me on the gunline@gmail.com, or send them on the direct messages on the social medias, whether that's on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok. That's where you'll find me. So anyways, with that said, thank you everybody for being here. You guys have a great rest of your fucking week. I will see y'all next week when I have a new guest coming on. And yeah, it's going to be definitely 3 chiefs on the podcast. By chiefs, I mean howitzer section chief. So it's going to be definitely good conversation. So, all right. Catch y'all on the gun line. Rounds complete. End of mission. Gun line out. March order.